well, let's put it this way. I wish it was already done. And I'll be glad when it's done, and I'll be glad I did it. You know, right now I don't know what to say. I've been looking at this and just all the stuff I gotta do. But I got a little time. I got a little time to get back at this. I gotta take all these parts off. I gotta take all of them off. I've got some liquid wrench here. If I had the little nozzle for this, that'd help out, I bet. Alright, so we'll let that sit for a while. I gotta take a bunch of stuff off this bike. Okay, so they used the shield over in their application with this FMF muffler. Things are going as planned. I have to take parts off of this bike. That's the plan. Things are going as planned. I have to take parts off of this bike. That's the plan. OEM speedometer cable, properly set up. I gotta take all these parts off and stuff, and since I took off this speedometer cable, I may as well take off the speedometer too. Won't be using this. I actually need the mounting location for my Trailtech dash. Okay, so that's how that looks underneath there. Nice and dirty. Got some cleanup to do. Next I'm going to take a look inside of this wrap here a little bit. You got your flasher unit here for the turn signals. And it's still hooked up. Then you got this bundle of wires, which is coming off the OEM wiring harness. This is the end of your OEM wiring harness underneath the headlight. Okay, so what they've got normally there would be a split like this on the black with white. They've got one end capped off. The other one goes into the handlebar switch for the off position, no ignition. Here you've got a ground in the original harness. That's the green one. And they have a yellow with green paired with the circuitry of the on-off switch for ignition. So this is your live coil wire, goes through the switch, comes back out, and goes to ground if the switch is shut off. This blue wire is power for your headlight and whatever else you had up front. OEM setup is just the headlight, one filament only. Unfortunately, they put on a permanent crimp here, and this just has to be cut. I won't be dealing with that in my setup. Okay, well, let's take a close look at the Baja Designs kit they've got on here. Let's just take a look at it, at all the aspects of it. First of all, they've got their clutch cable routed through here, which is improper. It's right down at the bottom. Secondly, there's the Baja Designs extension wire that hooks everything from the battery up to your headlight and handlebar switch stuff. That comes with the Baja Designs kit and makes things pretty easy to set up. Then you've got your throttle cables and your OEM wiring. That's the last item that they had in the loop here. The OEM wiring is left stock when you put on a Baja Designs kit. There's very few modifications that you need to be done. In other words, your lighting is all up on top, over the top of the OEM ignition system. Think of it that way. So with that said, the OEM harness has all your plugs and stuff for the coil and to go back to the CDI and to ground, and it's all done with magic, some magic inside. There's a little bit of magic inside. And they have the Baja Designs harness sharing the clip that holds the OEM harness both here and here. And of course you have your stator wires. They come up through the side rail here and add into a number of spots. Basically it goes to your CDI and your rectifier. So that's what they have hooked up there, and we're going to take some of this apart. I'm going to take it apart. I have to take a bunch of parts apart. Okay, so then how do these handlebar switches come apart? Okay, so my hopes here are that I can just split this and pull it off the bars. Doesn't look like that's the case. I'm not sure. This is a bad grip, so let's just get rid of it. Looks like OEM grip with OEM glue on there. Somebody must have had the grip off at some point. Come on. I'm gonna have to take a bunch of stuff off this bike. I didn't necessarily have to take these off, but everything's going to have to be cleaned up and stuff. This has grease all over it. Back here at the back of the bike, there's a shield to keep gravel and stuff from kicking up all into your shock and everywhere. Part of the mudguard plan. It's a mudguard. I have to take that off. because I'm going to be removing the air box, and it bolts right to the back of the air box. And there's a chain guard here to keep your chain from touching your tire. There we go. Not going to be using that. Most that you see are worn out from hitting the tire. I have to take a bunch of stuff off this bike. Just about everything. And I didn't really want to do it bad. Well, let's put it this way. I wish it was already done. And I'll be glad when it's done, and I'll be glad I did it. And I'll be glad when it's done, and I'll be glad I did it. I didn't really want to do it. I've got so many things to do. And with a lot of bikes comes a lot of different things to do. I just want to ride. And it's like I got to take off just about every part. And with that said, we're taking off more stuff. We're going to give you one final routing of the 2K the way it was. Of course, like I say, they had their clutch cable going through there. You don't want that. Throttle cable and wiring harness, yes. So the throttle cable goes through there, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the first thing. The throttle cable's the first thing closest to the frame. And they've got it diving right up here, rubbing on that, and going over the top. Okay, we've got a hang up here where I can't slide the throttle housing off of the handlebar unless I get this bark buster mount out of the way. Looks to be in okay shape. We're going to take that clutch cable off. I have to take a whole bunch of junk off this bike. You know, somebody might have said, or even I would say, that bike didn't look too bad off in the first place. Why are you taking it all apart? Well, at its age, almost 20 years old, it's due for a reset. This hasn't really done trail duty at all. We're going to take that clutch cable off. I have to take a whole bunch of junk off this bike. Believe it or not, or even I would say, but it hasn't been used much, and it shows throughout the bike. You've got a slight amount of wear, but it's obvious that it hasn't done trail duty. So like I say, once all is said and done, and I've got the transformation complete, I'm going to be a lot happier in the long run. I'm expecting that this bike, once all is said and done, is going to be bitchin', just like Nicky. It'll be bitchin', and all the rides will bring a smile to your face. Every time you get on it, you're just saying, man, this bike feels great. Yeah, I gotta take just about everything off this bike. But you know, when I put it back together, everything will be clean, Everything will be well sorted out, and I mean everything. There's hardly a part that I'm leaving untouched here. Well, we've already got master cylinder unbolted. I need to slip that hose out from under that clip there. Let's just bring this up and out of the way. I'm gonna have to undo my pulse generator. You've got this little tong here that holds all your wires and stuff in place. I've always felt these little tong things welded to the frame were a bit precarious. You know, how many times can you bend it before it gives out on you? Now in this location you've got this one little clip that holds the wiring harness to one of those studs on the frame. It's the same application as elsewhere on the frame. However, this particular clip is a one of a kind. It's actually wired in and taped over the harness. But the nature of these clips is there's a little tong inside of here that you need to relieve so that you can slip this whole mechanism off of here. The way I see it is it needs to come forward as far as possible so you can bend the little rubber plastic tong up far enough to slip it back off. You see how that's done? See that? You had to relieve this tong and get it up over the top in order to slip that off of there. I'm mostly just taking this off for cleaning purposes, but we may have to make some modifications to it. I'll probably use this one as opposed to the one off of the decommissioned 1991 XR600R. Yeah, I gotta take junk off this bike so I can reset everything. Here's the stator wire. Got a series of 3 clips down the line to make sure it's secure. And they can be tough to get to. I'd have to imagine this is the OEM orientation of this particular one. It is very difficult to access. I think it needs to be upside down, 180 degrees the other direction. So I'm having a hell of a time getting to it. There you go. But from the looks of everything, this bike hasn't been messed with. The motor may have never been out of here before or anything like that. Okay, so there's our stator. We need to get this off of here. You've also got these other items that I'm not familiar with at all, because this is for the California emissions control. They have an oil separator system. It sends vapors back into the air box. I've never had to deal with this before, so I'm not completely sure how hard it is to get that hose off of there. But that was easy. What we want to do here is get this darn oil separator off of here and out of the way. Looks like it just slips on here. This canister has a bracket that is not unlike the way the CDI slips into the slot on the frame, and it looks to me like you have to get that off the frame as opposed to slipping the canister out of the rubber holder. So that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, look at that. Look at all that. So, crankcase vapors and impulses go on up, and they go to the top where apparently inside of here it can separate oil and let that drain back out, as well as let breathing take place into the air box behind the filter, inside the filter. Apparently that's how they do it. We're not doing it that way. We're gonna do it the way that all my 600s are. I gotta take a bunch of stuff off this bike. Next, I'm gonna get that air box out of there. I have to take the air box off. We're not even going to use this air box. I'm going to have to take the intake boot off of this bike. Problem is, you can't get a wrench square on that bottom one. You don't want to strip these out, believe me. I've stripped this one out before. Quite a bummer. This has been off before because somebody gooped this up with some kind of junk. That's not the way they do it. Well, let's put it this way. I wish it was already done. And I'll be glad when it's done, and I'll be glad I did it. Remove the air box and the carburetor and the whole breather system. According to the plan, I gotta take a bunch of parts off this bike.